Good evening. Is it really that good? So we're back for our second instalment of the locker room to look back on Portugal 2, Scotland 1. I'm not going to lie, I'm absolutely gutted with that. A much better performance, but we end up losing. Took the lead in 7 minutes through Scott McTominay, and then second half goals from Bruno Fernandes, and of course Ronaldo gave Portugal a 2-1 victory. Joining me tonight to talk about that is a man that was on earlier with me at the 6 o'clock show. It's Robbie Collins. Robbie, how are we?
Aye, a bit gutted, but aye, all right.
And delighted tonight as well to be joined by Mikey. Mikey, what's happening, my man?
Not too much. Just disappointed, but oh well. We move on.
Yeah, I mean, there's already been a few comments coming in here. So, Hashbury stumble, it's all over now, baby blue. Gregor McIntosh, of course, we had to lose to a Ronaldo goal. Hashbury stumble, maybe we should shorten the game to 40 minutes each way. Well, it might give us a chance because we keep losing late goals. Red Scotland, McTominay not squaring that ball at the end there for a certain striking goal is criminal. There was an equaliser in that move. Had he squared that, I think he was offside though. Embarrassment result at home to a very poor Polish side has cost us. A draw ought to have been achieved tonight too. Should be sitting on 4 points as it is they're out. No points from what should have been four unacceptable performance levels. Too many good players on the Scotland side to be performing so poorly. I actually thought Scotland were decent tonight, to be honest. We played good, and I'm going to say exactly the same thing. So, Mikey, we did the show at 6 o'clock, and we talked about the lineup. So, before we get to the actual game itself, we talked about the Scotland lineup at the start, and we talked about the fact that Grant Hanley was in it. There was no changes. What did you make of that Scotland team when you saw it at first?
Well, in all honesty, I think obviously seeing Grant Hanley in it after his performance a few nights ago was a bit of a surprise. But over the course of the game, I think it turned out to be the right lineup. I think that all the players in the starting 11 actually played well. But I guess the lack of changes does sort of surprise me after the sort of backlash to the team that was out on was it Thursday night. So I mean, I guess it shows that Steve Clarke knows his team and he knows that that's the best team he wants out on the park. But I was surprised when I first saw it, in all honesty, because I thought there would be more changes than there was.
Killy Gamer says, rotten, hate Clark, but still want him in. I mean, Robbie, we couldn't have got off to the best possible start. We spoke before in the 6 o'clock show about I was worried it would be a 4 or 5-0 defeat, but we got off to a cracking start. Kenny McLean, who we did criticise at the start of the show, puts in a fantastic cross for Scott McTominay, who just can't stop scoring. It was the perfect start.
Aye, 100%. I mean, we can have asked for a much better start. I thought, as Mikey said, Clark clearly knows his best 11, and if he's going to go forward with that and follow behind it, I mean, look, against Poland, it wasn't the best, and I think we all came on the show and said that, it could have been a much better performance, especially in the first half, but we dug in deep against Portugal for the full game, but especially in the first half, we really showed what we're all about, and for how much we always claim we like to attack through Robertson, I thought a lot more of the midfielders were actually getting involved in the game, so I thought it was actually a much better first half. Obviously, a good ball in for McLean for McTominay's goal. McTominay, it just shows what he's all about. I mean, Man United fans have surely got to be missing him, because if they played him where they can actually do well, he'd probably be one of their best players. But for us, he's so crucial, and you can see that. And again, another goal. I think it's nine goals in 10 games now for competitively and international. So all credit to him. But again, it's just a gut punch right at the end.
Mike, I spoke on Thursday after the show about McTominay and how important he is. He is probably, at the moment, Scotland's most important player.
I think without a doubt he is. I think that obviously you have the leaders in the team, Robertson, Tierney when he plays, but I think that McTominay, whenever you need a vital goal, it sort of falls on his shoulders. I think that I don't think we're particularly lacking in the sort of quality in strikers, but we're not using them correctly, in my opinion. I think Shankland has shown enough to start. I don't think Adams and Dykes have been good enough in a Scotland shirt for quite a while now. Dykes was very good last year, but he's kind of dropped off over the last few months. So I think when it comes down to needing goals, it's obviously McTominay that usually steps up. And I think he's probably Scotland's most influential player within the starting 11. And I don't think there's too much discussion about that at the moment.
Mike Small, we're incapable of seeing out a draw, have been for years. Clark will go on and on. Sean McNeil, good evening to you, Sean. Mike also says he plays players who don't play for their clubs regularly and aren't fit. I mean, if you look at the first half, Robbie, I've got a few notes written down. You know, after we scored, we did start sitting deep and they were getting a lot of chances. Leao had a chance just where the goal. We had a header from Silva just over the bar. Most of the stuff I've got from the first half was just all Portugal. Leao has a really good effort saved by Angus Gunn, who we'll get to in a minute. Jota, again, a shot just over. We were sitting very deep, but to be honest, we were actually defending quite well. And that was a worry that I had after the game on Thursday was we are very, very soft defensively, but actually that first half we defended very well.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I mean, we each know we're on clubs that when you sit back against better opposition, if you sit back too deep, it can hurt you. But we looked really, really comfortable tonight, especially in the first half. I thought everything that was thrown at the defence and Gunn, well, up until the goal anyway, was dealt with quite well. But I thought it was a very comfortable first half defensively. I don't think getting troubled us too much. I think as soon as Ronaldo came on in the second half, you could see a difference attacking wise just by how much he influenced the game. But no, I thought it was a very comfortable first half.
Mikey, I was worried at the start about Leao against Ralston, but to be fair to Ralston, I thought he defended him very well.
Yeah, I think that Leao had quite an off game. But over the sort of course of that, I think that it's definitely not his best performance. But I think that Ralston did well because he kind of was able to. I think a lot of the time he was able to kind of show him onto his left foot, which is his weaker. Well, he doesn't really have much of a weak side when he's that kind of level of player. But I think that he did very well, sort of pushing out to the byline and trying to force sort of errors out of him. And I think he did that very well. But I also can't overlook the sort of centre back performances. I think that especially maybe goals aside, I think McKenna and Hanley were very decent over the course of especially when we were sort of defending and sitting deep. I think they dealt with quite a lot. So I think the defence sort of deserves a lot of, I guess, positives after that game. Obviously, the main negative is that we've lost, but overall, I'm not majorly surprised, and I think that there's very positive signs coming out of this game.
Yeah, it's a good point actually about the centre back pairing. I think as football fans we are very fickle. We all see things differently. We were very critical at the start of the show, Robbie, at 6 o'clock about the team sheet and that Hanley was still up. But to be fair, Hanley was very, very good tonight, all the way through.
Yeah, and I thought the whole defence was very, very good tonight, especially I think McTominay dropped back a few times as well. I thought he dealt with a few things quite well, but I credit must go to Hanley because, he was probably the most hated player after that game against Poland. He gets so much stick online after us and many other people, but tonight I thought him and McKenna were really, really good at the back, so credit must go to them.
The thing that frustrated me a little bit first half, Mikey, was we had maybe 3 or 4 chances from like set pieces, but our final delivery was so poor. We had chance to get the ball in the box and actually cause real problems, but that final ball just was lacking so badly, and that really frustrated me.
I agree, but I think sometimes when you take sort of a lead in a game, you can kind of afford to give away some of these opportunities. I mean, obviously, you kind of look back on it and it's a negative, but during the game, a lot of the time it was kind of just trying to put a bit of pressure on the Portuguese backline, and although they didn't come off, I think that over the course of the game, I can't complain too much because I think we played, if not the best we could have, I think we were very close to the best version of ourselves. I think that, like, even though the final ball might not have been the best, the build-up play was fantastic, and the individual performances of a lot of the players were very encouraging. So, yeah, you can kind of look back and, I guess, ruin his chances, but overall not majorly disappointed over the sort of course of the game.
Robbie, we spoke at the start about John McGinn. What does make his performance tonight?
I thought McGinn was more involved than he was against Poland anyway. I thought he definitely got the ball a lot more, but I mean, I can't really criticise any player tonight because it was a real team performance against a really, really good Portugal team. But, again, McGinn, for how much, we're used to seeing him create a lot of chances, I don't think he created it in particular that was a key moment. But, again, it helped with the midfield and getting chances. So, I thought McGinn was decent tonight.
Mikey, as that first half wore on, were you concerned at all during that first half? Because they were putting a lot of balls in the box, but you said it earlier. Defensively, we were very, very solid. They were putting a lot of balls in the box, but we were actually quite comfortable defending those. Were you at any point worried in that first half?
Yes, because I'm a Hibs fan. and any time that things are looking good for a defensive point of view, it ends up going in the back of your net. But I think as the half sort of worn on, it looked like, although Portugal were throwing a lot at us, it looked like we had all the answers to it. We were defending them very comfortably. Especially the second balls, we were winning pretty much all of them, and I think that when the ball came into the box, 9 times out of 10 it'd just be kind of smashed away and dealt with. But I think there's always that sort of apprehension, because as soon as there's pressure on you, the nerves kind of build up. Even if 3 out of the last 3 have been dealt with very comfortably, you never know what will happen with the next one. So there's always that kind of apprehension after sort of a sustained bit of pressure, or during a sustained sort of bit of pressure.
I'll come back to Mike's question in a second. Cody O'Hara, Ben Dokes have done with 5 minutes to go, 85 too late. Thing is, he wouldn't have come on, I don't think, if we hadn't lost that goal. McGinn was drawing a few fouls and a Fernandes yellow carded. Honestly, I can't stand Bruno Fernandes. I just can't stand him. So I was going to ask this question later, but Mike's asked it, so I need to ask the question. Now we're out. We're sticking with Clark. Yeah, I've said it before. I still think Clark is the best man for the job. Now, he's taken us to 2 Euros. He's got us out of 2 Nations League group stages. That's why we're in League Group A, which is a hard group. I still think Steve Clark is the best man for the job. I kind of know Mikey's thoughts on this anyway. We'll get your guys' comments in a minute. So, Robbie, still sticking with Steve Clark even after that? Because I think I definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey, for one, he's been so influential in keeping Clark in. I think after Euros, a lot of people got caught up and being out and sort of went after Clark for that. But he is the man that's got us there, and you know what, it deserves this run at the World Cup. And I think whoever commented that, you just need to look at tonight's performance and realise that Steve Clark can have us playing well, because we stood toe to toe for large parts of that game. We are a very, very, very good Portugal team. So, for me, Clark's still the man.
It's a good job Michael's not on the net because he might have a different opinion. But Mikey, I know your thoughts anyway, Mikey, but I take it you would agree with that though. Still sticking with Steve Clark, of course.
100%. I think that I've had many an argument about this, and I think that the major sort of outlying point I'd make is that I think that a lot of the sort of Steve Clark out of, I don't want to say overlooked, because I think that a lot of them do sort of respect the job that Steve Clark's done to this point, but I think that I said it with Naismith, especially at the start of the season. I know this is club football, but they kind of have the credit in the bank, and I don't think that, yes, we've not won a game in however long, or our record recently has not been good, but 1, a lot of them have been friendlies. 2, there's no replacement, and 3, I think a lot of the performances have been relatively positive. I think that the fact we're playing these very good opposition compared to previous managers where we were in sort of pot 3 and pot 4 even in qualifying, it's just, I think I've said this before, we've done what we should have in the Euros, sort of historically speaking. I think that the frustration with the performance is not the result, and I think that a lot of the recent sort of, I guess, negatives against them, I've made very many arguments against the sort of Steve Clark out brigade, but I'm very much firmly Steve Clark in. I think he's done a fantastic job and is continuing to do a very decent job. And I guess the only thing is we're somewhat limited by the sort of level of squad that we have. I don't think we're a bad side by any means, but I think that we got a bit carried away during the Euros qualification run, because we had that really good run of form, which kind of gave people a clouded view of how good we are. And I guess that it's kind of coming back now that we're in a bit of a slump. But yeah, I'm sticking with them 100%.
Good evening to Daniel McAlpine. Hi guys from South Africa. But that might be the farthest away we've had somebody on. How's the result? Not great. Performance was good. Mike, we need to be more critical and have some more actual aspiration. But we are Scotland. Now the thing is, I think we've actually done very well. I think you can see tonight the performance level was very good. It's not like the players have down tools under them. They are actually working really hard. We need to cut out the late goals. That's quite clear. But I don't. I mean, if you sack Steve Clark, you bring in David Moyes. Is it going to get any better? I don't think so. I think you've got to stick with Steve Clark, because I think things will get better. He wants to qualify for the World Cup, and I think he could easily do it.
I will also make the point that we look at the level of squad that we have, and yes, we have a few really good players in there, but do you not think the fact that the likes of Grant Hanley and stuff are still starting for Scotland, that maybe our squad isn't quite as good as we want it to be in a sense, because I mean the squad that we are is the best we've had in a while, just as the sort of team itself. But we can't be expecting to go and get knockout football and very sort of far into knockout football when our squads is sort of it's not a bad squad by any means, but it's not on the level of the likes of Switzerland and Germany who were in our Euros group. And I mean, you look at the likes of Turkey who weren't even one of the better squads in it, and they did very well. They have a hugely better squad than what I think we do at the moment, and I think that there's very good players within our squad, but I think our unit is, well, with the sort of overall calibre of the squad's not as good as it's sort of made out to be after that the qualifying run. So I guess we kind of are where we are on merit, I guess, and that's the point I would make.
Just to build on that point as well, I mean, Mike said be more critical. McTominay took a very, very chance that, a good chance that we don't often get against a big team like a Portugal, or if it's any other team like Germany, etc. He took his chance really well, and the difference between us and the likes of Portugal or Germany or Switzerland is, Ronaldo or Bruno Fernandes gets on the ball, and that's the big key player, and they can make a difference. So, we don't have a Ronaldo or Bruno Fernandes, but we have a McTominay who did, again, take his chance very, very well.
Cody O'Hara, I'd like to see Portugal or even Suter over Hanley or McKenna. McKenna completely at fault for that second goal, which we will get to very shortly. We now need to beat Poland side away, having embarrassed ourselves against them at home. We also need to beat the Croats home and away. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest, but you never know. Such is the price of object fire over these past two games. I think we're joined by Reagan. He's not got his camera on. Reagan, are you all right, mate?
I'm doing good. It was good to be on, guys. Um, yeah, it was a bit of a strange one because I did feel eventually we were going to get beat because we rode our luck throughout the full night. But I mean, I did think Ronaldo was going to score because he kept moaning and groaning, and I thought he's up for this. But we did okay. We were a bit cramped at the 6 yard box in the last 10 to 15 minutes, so I sort of expected them to win eventually, Portugal. But I have to say, Angus Gunn for the first goal was a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, Mike again asked the question here. How many games without a win would you stick with Clark? 14, 16 or 25?
Towards Mike's point, right, and on an international level, it's much different to club football. You're based on how well you do in getting to tournaments and doing in tournaments. Now, Clark's got to two tournaments, and I'm not saying results don't play a part in it, but as an international manager, you're judged more on the tournaments that you get to rather than the run of results that you have. So I think, I get his point. He's saying, we're on this bad winless run, but Clark's got us to two major tournaments, so that's sort of the counterpoint.
Do you know what else I'd say to that? During that run, we've played, France, Germany, Portugal, Netherlands. And, I mean, the only really sort of unacceptable results in terms of teams that we should be beating is Northern Ireland and probably Poland. And that's it.
And Finland as well. We got beat by Finland.
Finland as well. I think we should have beat Finland. But again, it's a friendly. It doesn't matter the result, really. That game was not based on the result at all. That game was based on preparing our players for the Euros and just sort of, I mean, most of it was just giving the team a send-off to Germany, let's be completely honest. But I think that, we probably should have beat Finland, but over the course of this run, I think we've lost to, obviously, Hungary, which is kind of a close one, but I think Hungary were a better side than us at the time that they played us. They'd been on such a good run themselves. Switzerland we didn't beat. I didn't expect us to beat Switzerland. Switzerland are a very, very underrated and very good side. Obviously, in Germany and the likes of that, they all sort of speak for themselves. So I don't think this run's as bad as it's made out to be at all. I think part of it is that we got our sort of work done so early. So I mean, had we waited until the final day to qualify, we would have been unbeaten. We would have sort of lost less games in a row because we wouldn't have been thrown out as many sort of, I guess, not backup players, but we would have kind of been going a bit more results sort of driven towards the end of the qualification campaign when it was already wrapped up. We didn't really have anything to play for.
I think Mikey makes a lot of good points there. But also what I would say is, as much as that can become a kind of secondary for Scotland fans at the moment, it will become a time where Scotland fans do question it, because how long do we go? Like, of course, we could say when the players are getting closer, and I understand that, like people at Neil McCann were saying we're in Nations League A, which I totally get, and I expect us to probably get beat by Croatia, home and away. But I think what Mikey makes a good point is that, see, as long as we're competing in these games like we were tonight, like we were on Tuesday, then you don't mind as much. It's just that Steve Clark's very stubborn and very negative in his team selection. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I've got wrong. You know?
Can I also just quickly say that if you look historically, Scotland are definitely not a Nations League A level side. We are
No,
punching
you're
above our
right.
weight at the moment. And considering the sort of position that we're in, where we're punching above our weight, that's the thing that really gets me annoyed about the manager, the sort of manager out situation. Because yes, if we were sitting in League C right now and losing to whoever, if you've qualified to however many tournaments, it sometimes doesn't matter, because if we're really underperforming, then fair enough. But we're in Nations League A. We've just competed with the best team in our sort of league, and we've done really well in the game today, I think. And over the course of the last couple of years, I think that we've done very well to sort of build the foundations to compete at this level. So I don't see why Steve Clark should go at this point. I know the run's not great, but look at the position we're in compared to the position that we were in 3-4 years ago. Well, 4 or 5 years ago now.
To play
Um,
devil's advocate, Mikey, then how long do you go? Because you're saying, well, we're doing okay, but then if it goes 1-1 and 20, do you then say, oh, we're still competing? But how long do
well,
you go?
if it goes to a nightmare situation where we're in our qualification for the next World Cup and we're sitting right down at the bottom and really not performing, then pull the trigger on him at a point where you can turn it back around and you don't see there being a turnaround from Steve Clark. But we've seen already that Steve Clark's done such a good job to take Scotland from the position they were in when he came in to the position they're in now. So I'd be very surprised if he couldn't turn around a squad that's very much what he's built over the last few years and is going for a bit of a bad spell. I think that we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a bit with the whole, what if we go 15, 20, however many games without a win. I think we just need to take it game by game, and if results become unacceptable to a sense, then by all means I'm fine with pulling the trigger on it. But I'm
Do you
still
know?
yet to see anything that points to him losing the dressing room or not getting anything out of his players.
I'm not saying he's losing the dressing room. What I'm saying is that sometimes he's too stubborn, he's too negative. The fact that he's playing. Okay, you can say Grant Hanley had a good game tonight, but he's still not international class. I would have still rather Porte's playing. I would have still have somebody else playing, you know. And um, I know Kenny McLean set up the goal tonight. I still don't think I don't think he offers much. I do think we need a bit of balance in midfield. Um, the other thing I would probably say is how long do you go with the goalkeeper? Because people could say we saved us a lot tonight, but there's so many times that I just don't think he's that great a goalkeeper. You know, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's improvement there.
We'll get to some of the comments here as well. Red Scotland, Portugal are not a good side. This is a side who lost comfortably to Georgia not that long ago. We are players in that part to beat them or at least take points. We could have taken a point tonight
No,
apart from that last minute goal.
That's rather ridiculous, Tony.
That is ludicrous.
now
He
what?
also says Poland should never come to Hampden and win. I do not care the tournament. They are only Poland. They have one player who's almost 40. I would agree. I don't think we should have lost to them on
No,
Thursday, but it was just,
They don't have
again,
one
poor
player though.
mistakes.
Poland are a very good side, though.
Yeah,
I would say that. Poland have got like okay, they've got Lewandowski, but they've also got some really good players up in the Serie A that are playing in European top leagues. This is what I think people can become very arrogant once we qualify for a few tournaments. And to also say that Portugal are not a good side, the Portuguese midfield are just went to Bayern Munich for 80 million quid. But Bernardo Silva is the captain of Manchester City. Ruben Diaz, he's got the most shouts for a defender. You've got so many players there. Semedo's playing really well for Wolves. You've got so many
Ronaldo
players.
probably the best player ever did it.
Yeah, so
In Scotland.
I think it's disrespectful from the commenter to say that Portugal are not a good side because they clearly are a good side.
Mike also says the other option that David Moyes, there are other managers in the world, has some ambition. Well, I don't think Guardiola or Klopp's going to take the Scotland job, let's be honest. We beat
Yeah.
Spain not that long ago, and Spain are levels above every team in our current group. Managers don't win games, players do. The current crop of players aren't good enough to finish at least second in this group. So if we're sitting here with absolutely 0 points, it's unacceptable. It's on them. I mean, I
No,
would agree with the Poland one. I don't think they were that good, Poland.
I don't think it's unacceptable. I think unacceptable is a strong word. What I would say is that I do believe that the manager needs to change his tactics a little bit more and become braver in game. You know, because this reminds me of Neil Lennon at Hibs and Neil Lennon at Celtic, where Neil Lennon is a very reactive manager, and I think that's what Steve Clark was. He brought on Ben Doak, he brought on Lewis Morgan and all those players with 20 minutes to go against Poland, and he said that they brought a lot of energy to the game. Lewis Morgan, in particular, and then he never played any of these players from the game, and then for me, he he brings on Tommy Conway, you know, and fair enough to him, but he also brings him on with 15 minutes to go. And I think sometimes, uh, and I want to ask you guys as well, do you think it actually shows that we missed Diggs during the European Championship? Because I think, I'm not saying that like he scores a lot of goals, but he actually causes people a lot of problems. He was causing Diaz a lot of problems in the first half as well.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we barely created a chance at the Euros, so I don't think London Dykes would have made that much impact overall. But he's a big miss to the side when he doesn't play. But to be honest, I think in the last year he's underperformed when he has played for Scotland. Sort of on the whole, so maybe not as big of a loss as, for example, Lewis Ferguson or something like that. But I think we very much need our best squad because outside of our sort of main maybe 23, 24 man squad, we're a bit thin at times. I think that obviously if you see it with the likes of Ryan Jack getting called up recently, the fact John McCracken's getting into the Scotland squad is interesting. But yeah, I think that we very much need the sort of 24, 26 players that we actually have usually in the first team, because as soon as you lose some of them, the sort of the cracks begin to show a little bit with the sort of squad depth that we have.
let's look at the second half. We've covered the first half. Let's look at the second half. Obviously, Portugal bring on Ronaldo. That's been knew he would. And then 53 minutes, Fernandes scores. Robbie, I'll come to you first, mate. We said it in the group chat. Angus Gunn had a great game, but he should save that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the shots basically right at him. I mean, for the start of the second half, when Ronaldo comes on, that's what we mean about a player can change moments. You know, Portugal in attack just looked so much more comfortable, and they were moving the ball about. It was the long vertical balls that they were playing into the box. We just couldn't stop them. They were so good on the night. The ball falls to Fernandes. I mean, last thing you can't take it away for the strike. It's Bruno Fernandes. As much as you might hate his attitude on the pitch, he knows how to strike a ball. But I mean, Gunn should save it. It's realistically right at him. It doesn't. I mean, look, I don't want to be too critical of Gunn because again, he did say a lot of good stuff tonight, and I thought it was actually very good tonight. But it does go to save that. So I mean, I look at it both ways. I think it's a good strike for Bruno Fernandes, which he has got in his locker, but Gunn should save it.
I mean, Mike, it's so disappointing because we did so well in the first half. You know, we're doing well, and it's such a poor goal to lose. You know, like I said, Angus Gunn after that had a brilliant game, made a number of really big saves.
Mm-hmm.
But that one moment, he's got to do better there.
I agree, and I think that it's very disappointing because we saw it in the Euros as well. He's got that sort of mistake in him, which can really cost you when you're playing at the top level, which we are at the moment. I guess the one thing I would say to defend him is that he sort of it made up for it with the saves where he somewhat shouldn't have saved them. So you could kind of argue that they kind of cover each other, where he makes a big save to make up for his mistake, and he kind of makes the big save that came off the post from Ronaldo and the follow up by Felix, which was, I mean, that kind of made up for the second goal, where I think there's somewhat fault falls on him as well a little bit. So I think he kind of covers each other, but I guess you kind of need to take the sort of incidents in the sort of I guess the solidarity of each of them. I guess that you can kind of call him out on that, because he should have definitely done better. He was a little bit unsighted when the ball was struck, but he has more than enough time to kind of react and get down to it. But it's very similar to the first goal that Germany scored in the Euros, and probably the second and third as well. But yeah, very, very disappointing. But I think he did very, very well to sort of recover from that point.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point as well, Regan, that Mikey makes there. After a goal like that, he could lose focus, but after that, he made some absolutely fantastic saves to keep us on it.
He did. I think he's a decent goalie, but I'm going to go back to what I said a few weeks ago with you and Stephen. I think over the next few months, you'll probably see Robbie McCrory come in. Graham, I just feel like he seems a bit more capable. I just don't know what it is. He just always seems to have a clanger in him. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of a goalkeeper that always had a clanger in them, but
Jamie Lansfield.
Jamie Lansfield. I hope he's not watching, but I think he's a good comparison. But I think in terms of that, Graham, I feel a bit sorry for him because. Oh, okay, it did save us at times, but also it's times like that why you're a Scotland goalkeeper to save shots like that, and you can say, okay, obviously the spin on the ball and Bruno Fernandes and stuff like that. Well, that's fair enough, but I think it definitely should save it.
Red Scotland comes in with Callum McGregor is an enormous loss for the national side since he's as good as anything in that Portugal side. But McGinn, McTominay, Christie, Gold, Gilmore and Robertson ought to be able to cut it. I mean, Mikey, I can see you laughing there, mate.
Is this Michael Plummer?
I mean, come on. I don't even know what to compare that to. That's ludicrous.
I would agree though. I would agree though that McGregor is a big loss for Scotland.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, but he's not better than João Palhinha though.
João Palhinha just went for 80 million to Bayern Munich. I don't think Callum McGregor will be anywhere near that. I'm a Celtic supporter, everybody knows that, but I don't think Callum McGregor's anywhere near the level of 80 million to Bayern Munich. But I don't know what this contributors talking about the right, but yeah, everybody's entitled to their opinion, Graham.
I never thought I'd say something compare Callum McGregor to Cristiano Ronaldo. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Cody O'Hara, why is Ralston in the squad? Not even first choice right back at Celtic. Nicky Devlin, Danny Armstrong, or even Jordan McGee should get in over him. What I will say is, Ralston was actually good tonight. I was actually impressed with Ralston tonight.
I've got to say, these comments today have made me laugh.
Oh God!
Ralston did deal with Leal very, very well tonight, considering
I thought he was really good.
I thought Ralston was outstanding tonight. There was one time in the first half where we probably with a good chance to go 2-0 up as well, where Ryan Christie puts a kind of bad ball towards Ralston. If Ralston gets the ball through to John McGinn, it could possibly be 2, but because Christie gave him a bad ball, then it wasn't able to be. But I thought Ralston actually played well, and I thought he was going to get absolutely skinned by Lau, because Lau's pace in the first half play was brilliant, and I thought Ralston played well, actually.
We made a couple of changes, 73 minutes. We brought on Ryan Gold and Tommy Conway for McLean and Dykes. I don't actually think Conway actually touched the ball when he was on, but I mean, he freshened it up a little bit, which was the right changes. Somebody made the point earlier about Ben Doak. I thought he might have got brought on earlier, but again, I don't think he comes on if we're not losing that game. But I actually thought Reagan's second half was actually much more even. The first half was pretty much playing their own half. But second half, it was a bit more even. We created a bit more chances, and for most of that second half, I was actually quite pleased with the performance.
I think Neil McCann mentioned it on the STV commentary in terms of, I feel like Scotland really opened up once that Portugal goal went in second half. I don't know if it was the pressure or Steve Clark just said go in there and express yourself more. But I feel as if the tension released from the players maybe they've just thought, well, we'll just go for it now. We'll just try our best now and see what comes up with, because maybe they were just trying their best to hold on that long, and maybe the tension's away now. But I can tell me the second half, I think you can't really fault the players. I think nobody really expected us to win the game. I'm just glad that we held on for as long as we did. But I think, obviously, I said before the game that it would be 5-1, but I felt it would be 5-1 in terms of we wouldn't really be competing in the game. But I think you have to say fair play to the players. And Scott McTominay, again, he rose to the occasion.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, the last 10 minutes or so, they really put us under pressure. You know, again, Angus Gunn made a couple of fantastic saves. We got slightly fortunate with the Ronaldo header that hit the post and didn't go in. And obviously, Gunn does have a good reaction to stop it from falling to João Neto. But, you know, that last 10 minutes, you could see that Portugal were really starting to cause us a lot of problems. We were tiring in that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what a well quality side does. I mean, they keep up the pressure for the whole 90 minutes, and Portugal are allowed to do that. And I think there was another chance as well where you just see how good Ronaldo is. I mean, he back heels it to one of the Portuguese players, and he probably should have scored, but Gunn makes another good save. So, I mean, a Portugal squad this good are allowed to do that. And just touch on Reagan's point, I mean, you know, that is, if you said to any Scotland fan 3 years ago, would we be able to even score against Portugal, they probably would have laughed at you. So, to see how far we've come, that you know we can't compete with Portugal right up until the last sort of couple of minutes. It's good to see, but again, you can't help but be disappointed that the goal eventually came. But the players gave it all that they could, and that's all we wanted tonight. I think we all said it on the pre-show that, you know, if Scotland go out there and give it all, then we can be happy.
And as much as I was a bit negative on the first show, I think Mikey made a lot of valid points. He's kind of balanced it out for me in terms of, I don't think everyone's as bad as we see. I think, like, Scotland are never going to be at the level of Portugal, but see, as long as we are actually in the game and we're competing and we're showing our best, that's the most important thing. And I'm sure you lads agree. Like, nobody's saying that we need to go and beat Portugal by 5 goals to show that we're doing well. I think that as long as we're showing that we're in the game and we're in our places, I think we need to credit the players for that. Right?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
one,
if you
I think the one negative I've still got towards Steve Clark is that he's still playing John Hanley and he's still playing the goalkeeper, because I'm not a fan of the two of them. So
I mean, Mikey, you look at the goal we lose, 87 minutes, Ronaldo's goal. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant ball in, but again, it's that lapse of concentration with Scott McKenna. He tries to grapple with Ronaldo rather than just get in front of him. If he gets in front of him, he stops that goal. Again, it's just that lack of concentration in those last few minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of shown last week as well with the late penalty being given away. I think that, I mean, when you're kind of up against it for so long, all it takes is that one lapse in concentration that kind of becomes, it kind of throws away all your good work. But I think that can't be forgotten today. I think that the main sort of takeaway from the game shouldn't be the mistake in the last minute that leads to the goal. It should be the very positive defending for 89 minutes of the game. And I just think that, I mean, if you sort of get rid of that moment, I think that Scott McKenna was really good over the course of the game. So it's very disappointing that kind of happened when it did. Obviously, the negative is that we conceded the goal from it. So yeah, it's a disappointing one, but at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting to get anything out of the game. And I think that although it's kind of got rid of what would have been a fantastic result, who's to say that they wouldn't have scored later on in the game anyway, because they were very much knocking the door down at that point anyway. They were very much all over us in that sort of last 10, 15 minutes. They were really pinning us back, and as I said, all it takes is that one sort of lapse in concentration. The one thing I will say to sort of, I suppose, give McKenna a little bit off the hook is that Angus Gunn comes flying out to try and collect it and then doesn't get anywhere near it. So, I mean, if Angus Gunn does the job that I guess he's probably supposed to do in that situation, then maybe the goal doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, it's kind of irrelevant now. The game's over. But yeah, it was a very disappointing one to lose at that sort of time in the game.
Yeah, Robbie, it's a strange feeling, Robbie, because at the 6 o'clock show, we're all raging with the side. We were thinking it's going to be 4 or 5-0. It's a strange feeling to be coming on here after a very narrow defeat and thinking, actually, there was a lot of positives to take out of that game, but we still lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously always gotten to lose, but Steve Clark proved us all wrong tonight. But multiple fans online, literally everywhere, I've always been complaining about the team lineup, but he put out that team tonight, and it was the right selection. I had no doubt about that. I think he picked the right team for the game, and the players showed up. It was just so unfortunate that it takes one bit of magic and another Ronaldo goal, which Ronaldo just does Ronaldo things, and that's us beat. But again, that's a Portuguese side that have great quality and know how to play and know how to find their moments. We're not at a level where we're going to have a Dykes or a Shankland or anybody like that find that magic moment yet. I mean, I don't know, maybe Shankland could, but one day, who knows? But sorry.
I'm saying I think there's a chance because he's not getting many chances to put himself.
Nah, I mean, Conway's not getting many chances either, so I don't know how long it's going to take him to get in the team. But I just think Portugal, they have that quality to go in there and get 2 goals like that and win the game, whereas we unfortunately don't. But the players can hold their heads up high, I'm sure, tonight. I mean, I'm sure Clark will say to them, that is a good performance despite the result. But we're doing well against a very, very good team, so there's a lot to be positive about.
Can I also just come in on something quickly? I think that a lot of the frustration of the team lineup is warranted, but I think sometimes when you see an unchanged team, there's obviously a bit of negativity if the last game ended in a defeat. But sometimes I just like to use the analogy: if you don't make changes for the sake of changing it, bringing people into the team when the manager doesn't think it'll work is pointless. I think if he's very confident that's his best team and he's comfortable with that team, why not keep it the same? Obviously, if you go and lose however many games in a row, yes, you need to change it. But I think the fact that the performance against Poland was very frustrating. I don't think we were good enough in the game. But I think the fact that we kind of showed up today should give a little bit more should put a little bit more confidence back in that the manager obviously knows what he's doing with the team and he knows why he's selecting the players he is. I've had this argument before with multiple people who say, why not bring in the likes of Miller and Watson to the squad? I don't think they're ready for the squad yet. I think that the squad that we've got, the 25, 26 players that we have in that Scotland squad are the 25, 26 that are the best options, provided everyone's fit. The only issue is performances haven't been as good lately. And I guess I bring it back to this sort of point that I always make. The purple patch in form we had in qualifying has given this sort of overexcited view, as it was said in the chat the other day, of how good the Scotland team actually is. I think that the 11 that we've been putting out lately is probably, obviously we've got injuries who will come into the starting 11, but with the current crop of players we have, I think the 11 we've been putting out is probably at least very close to the best we could. Obviously the likes of Grant Hanley can kind of be swapped out here and there, but overall I think that it's not far off the best side that we have, and the fact we're competing at the very top level is very encouraging, especially with the injuries we have.
I want to ask you guys a question then. For the midfield then, who would be your 3 midfield?
McTominay, McGinn and Ferguson. Probably.
Yep. Yeah.
No Billy Gilmore?
Well, I mean, it depends what formation you're playing. If you're just going a flat 3 across the midfield, or if you're playing the 4-2-3-1, which we're playing, you probably would then play Gilmore, maybe McGinn in behind, or you could, I guess, put Lewis Ferguson in behind as well. But I'd actually put McTominay and Ferguson a bit further forward and drop McGinn back a little bit if you're to play the positions that we are at the moment.
Yeah, but typically now when I bring in Ferguson for me, because I think Ferguson will be pretty brilliant. You don't win the Serie A midfielder of the year if you're not a good player.
Although I would say I think McLean was quite good tonight. I think he was one of our better performers, especially in the second half. I think he was very good at sort of linking it from back to front. I think that McTominay did that job very well as well. And McGinn was very good in the transition, but I think that the two men, well, McTominay and McLean especially were very good at taking the ball from one box to the other tonight, and I was very impressed by them, especially after a couple of poor performances by McLean, and obviously he's come under quite a lot of criticism lately as well.
I mean, Robbie, managers always get criticised, Robbie, and they always will when they get beat, when they lose games and stuff. People were very critical of what happened on Thursday. People were critical of social media. When I saw the team sheet today and they hadn't changed it. But I suppose if Steve Clarke, you're vindicated by that performance today, that you actually got the team right.
I mean, that just proves that, we know for that fact that nothing and Steve Clarke's better than us because, Steve Clarke watches these players every international break and he knows what's best for the team and he puts out that team tonight and they go and perform and deliver, I'm not going to say a good result, but a good performance on the pitch anyways. So, I mean, Clarke will always come under criticism, but he watches the team and he knows who's best for the starting 11, so all credit must go to him.
I wouldn't say you know nothing, Robbie, you know a lot, mate.
I try. Although Shankland done it at number 10 and Golden McLean in the midfield would suit me nicely.
I mean, Reagan, obviously at this point sitting here after a 2-1 defeat, but if you're Steve Clarke, you'll be looking at the positives tonight, and there are a number of positives to take from that game.
You will be blaming Argentine ref tonight. I thought we actually done okay. We can be proud of what we did. But what I would say is that there's still a lot to work on as well. There's things that you'll go away and think about and say, right, well, maybe I should have done this sooner or done this or whatever. But I think the big thing that we are missing at the moment, when we're missing somebody like, we'll just have with Bale, we're missing something like that. If we can get something like that, we can score a lot of goals. Of course, we're going to score McTominay, but we also need somebody that can really take us up the pitch. We're not going to do like that. We can really grab a game with the scruff of the neck. That's something we need. But yeah, I think overall we can be pretty happy. I think Mikey's made a lot of valid points about being in Section A because I'm telling you right now, if we were in Section B right now, I'd be fully confident that we could win matches because if you look at the groups that in Section B, you got Greece, Finland, Ireland. I'm perfectly confident we can beat Ireland and Greece. So I don't have any problems. I just think it's because what Mikey was saying about the natural step up that whoever you're playing in Section A is like you can't switch off for a moment. And I think with if you look at teams like Greece and Republic of Ireland, I don't think they're great shakes at the moment. So you could probably get more time for people like McTominay and things and that. That's what happened the last campaign. We played Republic of Ireland in Section B and we beat them. We also played Denmark as well. We beat them. So I think it's important that we have a bit of a reality check as well. And of course, we can be defeated at the manager, which I've obviously spoke about. But the only problem I've got with the manager is he's very reactive rather than proactive.
Another thing I'd like to see us work on as well is set pieces. I mean, there was a few times tonight where we did get balls, a good chances to put balls into a box, and they're just floating past everybody and going out. So, obviously, that is, again, Clarke is, working on something, but it seems like a lot of the set pieces we have, and it's the same against Poland, they're just going nowhere. So, it'd be good to see us try and work on that as well.
I mean, Mike comes in here again. Scotland is doomed to eternally have an underperforming team because supporters and administrators lack ambition and imagination. I don't know what folk think Scotland actually is. We're never going to win a Euros or World Cup. We've managed to get to 2 Euros. Now, I would admit, when we've got there, we've not really done enough. But I don't know what folks expect Scotland to be. We're not a world-class team. I don't know what folk are expecting us to be.
And see, this is the point I've been arguing on the chat for a while now. I think the fact that we've done so well in qualifying is giving people this view that we need to go and beat we need to go and win every game that we play. I said this after the Euros because it was even worse then. I don't think we're under like I know that you can kind of have your ambitions, but you can't be over ambitious in the sort of fact that you can't expect more than you are worth. Because I made
Exactly.
the point that it'd be like Burnley sacking their manager for not getting European football because we very rarely we've never qualified out of a group. We barely even qualify for tournaments over the course of history. And you usually take history as a sort of pointer for how good a team should be performing because you need to use the sort of gauge of how good they are. You can't expect that the Hungary fans aren't expecting Hungary to go and get to the semi-finals of every tournament. For example, the Greek fans aren't expecting them to get out of the groups at every tournament. And for some reason, after we've had some good games, we seem to expect that. And I know that some of it is just some just wild sort of discussions people are bringing up, but I think it's a very big underlying issue because I've noticed it a lot with a lot of people that I speak to, obviously through like the stuff that I do, and obviously the sort of people that I talk to as well. It's a very big issue I've noticed, and we're getting way over our head of how big sort of Scotland is as a country and how good we should be. Because I mean, for me, getting to tournaments is what you should be aiming to do. Once you're there, anything past qualification is a bonus. But people seem to expect more than that. We need to get to knockouts. We need to get past the round of 16, or the manager must go. That's the thing I've noticed, and I'm very frustrated about. I'm not saying the manager's perfect by any means because he's made mistakes, but you can't expect him to do more than what's been done in the past. Obviously, over the course of history, not in recent years. And over the course of history, we've never got out of the group stage before. So we can't now expect the manager to do it every time because he's had one really good run of form in the qualification. I think it's pretty ludicrous some of the stuff that gets said about the sort of ambition levels at Scotland at the moment.
I
That
think
is exactly like
I think Mike
sorry.
he's made a lot of good points, and it's like Robbie said earlier. People are not interested in Scottish football, so we can't expect these players in Scottish football to be absolutely brilliant. You know, we talk about Scotland should be doing amazing. When's the last time a Scottish team did well in European football? You know what I mean? W- Scottish football's in a worse place than it's been in the last number of years. Like I think Mikey and Robbie made a lot of good points that see in terms of this, I think sometimes because Steve Clark's qualified is for back to back tournaments that they think, oh, everything's pure rosy in the garden, we've got some brilliant players. But I mean this is like we need to remember that we've got um play, players who are okay. I wouldn't say we've got world class players. I would say we've got decent players. We've got John McGinn, who is a hard worker. We've got Scott Tommy, who's a decent player. We've got Billy, who's a decent player. We've got Lewis Ferguson, who's decent. You know, the only difference is now from maybe 4 or 5 years ago is we've got some of these players that are playing in top European leagues. Whereas if you looked at Scotland a couple of years ago, where we had like if I think back, like people like Christian Daly, Lee McCulloch, people like that. You know, no disrespect to those guys, but I think these guys are a step up. So that's probably why we're qualifying more. But I think you guys made a great point.
It is exactly like club football. You go through phases, but as Mikey said earlier, Scotland went through a purple patch of really good form. Teams like, Kilmarnock, they're going through bad form right now. Hearts, Graham, you're seeing it at Hearts, they're going through a bad bit of form. Managers getting a lot of criticism, rightly so, because you should, every club in the league has high expectations that have done well in previous seasons. Hearts, you expect to be third every season. Us over here expect to be pushing for European football. I'm sure Mikey, you see it as well. Obviously, Hibs have been a bit of a different position, but there's always huge expectation for Hibs to do well in the league. So I like the club football in the country. There's a lot of expectation put on by fans, and I think some fans are now starting to realise that we're not just this big team that can beat the Spains and Norways every time. We're doing it to realise and find our level.
I said it in the group. I said it in the group chat a couple of days ago. If you look at the 23-man squad that was selected, only 6 of them come from the Scottish Premier League, and 2 of them were goalkeepers. Most of the quality that's in Scotland are foreigners.
Yeah, and I'll take it
Oh,
back. I'll take sorry, Mikey. I'll take it back to the point that we talk about that we think these Scotland players can achieve a lot of things, right? So if you take it apart from the Spain result, what's the last big result that we got? France in 2008, right? So you need to have a reality check as well and say, right, well, again, it's unacceptable that Alex McLeish's side lost to Kazakhstan, lost to Russia, lost to all these poor sides. But there also needs to be a reality as well. And there needs to be a reality that I'm 25 years of age, we've only qualified for 2 tournaments since I've been alive. You know what I mean?
I agree. I was going to actually say that we talk about the whole, obviously, players coming from the Scottish League, and the issue with that, I think, is on the SPFL as an actual sort of quality of league. I think that players can outgrow our league way too easily, and I think that's the issue that we currently have. I think that the Scottish League, as I've said, is in one of the worst places it's been in recent years. On the park quality's been really poor. European results have been really poor. And just look at the players that are being brought into Scottish clubs and the level of sort of clubs that they're signing from. Very much lower league English teams is the sort of go-to. And I think these homegrown players, they leave so early because even like the English Championship is a higher level than the Scottish Premiership at times. When you look at the sort of standard in the league, I think that it used to be a given the Celtic and Rangers would run away with the Championship and be sort of middle to top half Premier League sides. You can't even guarantee the Celtic and Rangers will go into the English Championship and get even playoffs at this point. I think that the sort of standard in Scottish football is really maybe not been on a decline, but other leagues have definitely overtaken it. And I think that the point of the homegrown players is of course, you want to see more quality coming through the Scottish leagues, but I think that the fact that a lot of these players are sort of thriving in bigger leagues is actually a positive for us because we've got so many of these homegrown players who go on to become bigger and better and perform very well. Because, for example, if Aaron Hickey or John McGinn went to Celtic in 2018, I don't think they would have developed in the same way that they did at Aston Villa and Brentford. I think that down in England they developed them much better, and I think that that's actually benefited us in the long term. I think that Scottish clubs don't have the facilities, they don't have the sort of ability as some of these teams that are either down south or abroad. So I think that some of the players playing in higher leagues is definitely a bigger positive than if we were to have more players from the Premiership because I think the squad's better for that.
We've got a couple of minutes to go. Robbie, overall reactions, overall thoughts on the last 2 Scotland games against Poland and Portugal tonight?
In the Poland game, it's obviously disappointing not to win, but have that fighting mentality to get back into the games, no doubt, will be a positive thing for the future. We do show that we have that fight to go on and get back into these games. Against Portugal, there's a lot of positives. It was an Angus Gunn mistake that really put Portugal back into the game. I don't know if they would have been able to break us down if Gunn had saved that. I'm not sure. Obviously, we'll never know, but a lot of positives to take for Scotland going forward. We should be looking against the Croatians to try and go and take points off of them. Hopefully, just see how well we can do. But we need to stick behind Clark. That's the main thing. If we're just going to go for the next few months and chant and rave Clark out again, then it's going to get us nowhere. So we need to be right behind the team and speed Clark.
Mikey, overall thoughts on these last 2 games, mate?
The Poland game was very disappointing. I think Poland was the team I looked at that I said if we're going to get any points, it's going to be against them, especially at home. That's points thrown away that we could have really, really done with because I don't think we're on the level of Croatia and Portugal. I mean, Croatia struggled in the Euros, but I think they're a better side than us. And yeah, that was a disappointment, but I think that the game tonight has very many positives. I think that the fans need to, I don't want to say anything negative, but I think that the fans need to kind of pick up their mood a little bit because I think we were very good tonight, and we need to take things a bit more positive from tonight and move on because I think that we've got bigger games. Well, we've got some big games coming up, and we need to prove that we need to sort of replicate those performances tonight, then we'll be in good stead against Poland away, especially.
Reagan, your overall thoughts?
I think overall thoughts is we're in a good place. I think that there's some things that need addressing, maybe centre back and goalkeeper. But I think apart from that, I think like if you look at it and you say to yourself, there's a one goal margin between Portugal and Scotland and Poland and Scotland. Now Poland and Portugal are teams that you associate to get to the latter end of the tournament. So I don't think it's been a bad camp, but I think it's been a one that's very close margins, I would say, Graham. So I think overall you can be pretty happy.
So we are out of time. Thank you very much to Robbie, to Reagan and Mikey for joining me tonight. Thank you for all your comments. Very frustrating night for Scotland tonight. A 2-1 defeat to Portugal. But we go again. Hope you have a cracking rest of your night. And we'll see you again next Friday. We are back at 5 o'clock, usual time. See you later, folks. And thank you for joining us. Catch you, people.
All the build-up and reaction to Scotland in the nation's